I remember getting off the plane and just feeling this wall of heat. The thing about Samoa is that the people are so welcoming. They are always happy all the time. I mean, they have a different character about them. They're always more than willing to invite others into their home. They have that sense of attitude where what's mine is yours, and that's a thing that I didn't notice very often. Like, I knew, coming from, because my dad is Samoan, just growing up, I kind of gained a basic knowledge of the culture that, you know, they're willing to do anything for you. Just the sacrifice that the Samoan people have over there is just unexplainable. So my dad is originally from Samoa, and he moved to the state. He grew up there till he's about 16, and then moved to the States. And so I'm actually half, because my mom is of the Caucasian descent. You know, there's so many things I love about the Samoan people, but I think the main thing that I love is just that the love they have for everyone. They're really humble, and they're really selfless. They're willing to give of themselves. You know, learning from my dad, I would always see my dad, you know, not hesitant on whether to help out with different service projects or things like that. And I never understood that. I just thought he was just a good guy, you know, always willing to do the extra mile, or go the extra mile and do the extra steps that it took. But being submerged in the Samoan culture, I could see, you know, everybody wanting to do that. Everybody takes the initiative. Everybody, you know, loves helping out one another. And that's something that I miss and love about Samoa, is just seeing that no matter what the circumstance is, you're rich, poor, you know, in between, they're always willing to help out one another. Just their selflessness in general is just amazing to me. And the love that they have, the selflessness they have, is amazing. When I first got there, I was like, okay, there's probably going to be a ton of wildlife, you know, monkeys or tigers or some sort of just, you know, animals that are going to be in that jungle. But, you know, come to find out, there was nothing like that out there, which I was grateful for. They have these centipedes called aqualoas, and they're super fast, and if they bite you, it really hurts, and you'll swell up. I mean, some people can even die from these bites. And, you know, I remember one night we were sleeping in just this little, you know, shack out there in the back island in Savaii, and I remember, you know, feeling something on my neck in the middle of the night, and I didn't think anything of it. And, you know, it started, like, you know, grabbing itself, attaching itself to my neck with all its legs. And I remember whispering to my companion, you know, I was like, "Soa," which means companion. I was like, "Get up." And I was waiting for him to get up, and I finally see him get up, and he has his flashlight on. He's like, "Is everything okay?" I was like, "Is there something on my neck?" And he's like, "So don't move. You know, there's an aqualoa on your neck." And I was almost in tears at this point, because I do not like bugs, especially centipedes crawling on me. And, you know, to have one of these ones, you know, a poisonous centipede on my neck, probably not the best place to have a centipede. But I remember my companion went and got the father of the family that we were living with. And, you know, the father of the family comes over, and I'm expecting him to, like, you know, be serious and you know, take certain steps in which to get me to safety. But I remember he would call his whole family over, and they were all laughing, and you know, that I'm almost to the point of crying, and I have tears in my eyes, and they're all just laughing at me. And because they're used to these creatures, and I'm you know, at the point where I'm about to freak out. And, you know, finally the father just went and, you know, grabbed it, or just hit it off of my neck, you know, real quickly. And it was crazy to see how fearless they are when it comes to these things that they're used to, accustomed to me coming from the States, having no idea what these things are. Because those things, I've seen them bite other missionaries as well, and I've seen, like, the bumps or bruises that they have from them. And, you know, that's what got me terrified of these things. And there are wild pigs out there, and I remember, you know, we were walking through, and we saw, you know, maybe 5 or 6 little baby ones running around, and we're like, "Oh, this is weird," because usually families would own those ones and raise them for food. And then I remember my companion was just frozen with fear, because he saw the mom or the dad, whoever it was, and they had these tusks coming out, and I was like, "Oh, this is not good." And I remember just running down the trail as fast as I could, and you could hear it squealing and running after us because it thought we were going to hurt, its babies. And so it was different running from a pig rather than I thought it would be a monkey or tiger. But they do have wildlife out there. A lot of people do like to drink. The main beer they use out there is called Vailima. You always see bottles everywhere. A lot of people collect the bottles. They'll use bottles for different purposes to hold, mosquito coils to keep mosquitoes away, or they'll use it for water storage or for cleaning supplies and things like that. They have stores along the road every couple miles, just little stores. They're almost like a snack shack sort of thing. And most of the people that do their drinking will stay at these stores and just keep drinking them by the bottles. And I remember one time we were walking, me and my companion, and it was time to get home. It was nighttime, and they would scream out to us. They'd be like, "Palangi," which is like the white term, or like an American term. A lot of people always ask me, how was the food when I come home from my mission? Just because they gain a knowledge that Polynesian food is super good. And it really is. Most of the time on my mission, it consisted of meat. And they always eat chicken or pork out there. And my first couple areas, I was actually close to the ocean in Samacau, and that was on the kind of by the wharf area where we would take the ferry from one island to another. And in that area, we would mostly get fish and crab and lobster, and that was really good because I really love seafood. And there was a couple other things that you'd see on the plate and realize I have no idea what that is, and this is new to me. A huge thing I didn't eat before my mission when I got out there was octopus. And I've always heard that it's super chewy, and a lot of people don't like it, or they do like it. There's no in between. And so I was definitely going to try it. I wasn't going to not miss that opportunity. But the way they do is they cook it in coconut milk, which is kind of interesting because they use coconut milk a lot out there. And when I first tried it, it was super chewy, but that coconut milk actually made it taste really good. And I remember I ate my the first bowl of octopus, and my companion looked over like he was impressed that I would eat that because he wouldn't touch it, and he was from Samoa, so it was pretty funny to see that happen. There's actually a lot of people grow their own food. They all have their plantations out there, and that's because the Samoan saying is that you can live off the land, and technically they do. They have their own plantations out there where they grow different sorts of vegetables, and then they raise different animals such as chicken and pigs, and it's crazy to think that they do all this, and they don't care about money. They don't need money. They can just live off that land. And the main plant that they use is taro. And taro's sort of like a potato, but a little bit thicker when you eat that. So, and I love taro. And what they do is they use so they'll dry out the coconut once they crack it open and drain all the liquid out, and they'll let it dry up. And then they'll use the skin, the white skin on the inside, and they'll scrape it off. And then they use sort of like a strain or a straw sort of fixture to squeeze all the juice out of the skin that they scraped out from the coconut. And so they'll use that as a juice, and they'll mix it with a little bit of salt, and they usually use that as a dressing for the taro, and they use it for the octopus as well. So they usually, I would say that's sort of the main dish that they use. They call it pe'epe'e. So, and it's really good with everything. It may not sound good, coconut milk and then salt, but it makes everything taste delicious out there. When I was serving in Sava'i back in Neafu, in that back part of the island, I remember, because in Samoa, for the mission, they would feed the missionaries twice a day. They would feed them for breakfast in the morning and dinner at night. And I remember the meals were always heavy in the morning and at night. So you'd pretty much be having 2 dinners instead of breakfast and dinner. And I remember that area that we were serving in, we would always have fried chicken, pork, chicken soup, hot dogs, just all this heavy food in the morning, and then at night you would get pork, this huge pig that they would cook for you, place it in front of you, fish, and they also cook bananas out there. They boil the bananas, which is really nice, and they drizzle that pepe on there, that coconut sauce. And I remember me and my companion, because the bishopric, or the bishop, assigns the families the meals for that week, and I think for a month straight we would just get fried chicken every time, because that's what people thought missionaries love, was fried chicken. And it got to the point where I probably couldn't eat much more fried chicken. And I remember my companion, because I was still fresh, went up and told the bishop, if there's any way, if we could get anything else other than fried chicken, that would be awesome. And then it was kind of embarrassing, because the bishop, and with Samoa, the people of Samoa, they're not afraid to speak their mind, and they'll they have a sense of humor that's undescribable about them, because they're all about joking and having a great time. And I remember the bishop got up in sacrament meeting and said, the missionaries are sick of fried chicken, let's get them something else. And we're like, well, I guess that's going to work now. And then I think for the next month or two that I was there, we just got straight pork, which wasn't that much healthier, but it was a good change. Water was kind of scarce, and it's super expensive out there in the stores they have. So I know that, I think in other missions that I've heard from other friends, that the three main sodas they had was Coke, Fanta, and Sprite that you could choose from. And it's crazy to think that the soda was less expensive than the water. I think the water bottles out there went from $6 to $8 compared to a soda that went for $1 to $2. And I remember this one time where me and my companion, we didn't want any soda. We just needed water, and it rains a ton over there. That's why it's so green. And the people of Samoa, they have these huge tanks on the side of their house, that when the sheet metal collects all that rain, it'll drag into the pipes and it'll go into this huge tank that they have. And so we would use that tank to shower as well, and then we would also use it to drink water, and which was crazy, because I've never drinking rainwater or any sort of water other than from the faucet or anything like that. And so it was a blessing from the Lord, because we were praying for a way to find some water for us. That way we could collect and take water bottles with us while proselyting, because sometimes a lot of missionaries do get dehydrated. And that's the thing they emphasize in our mission, was staying hydrated, because it does get hot out there. And, as long as you're preparing yourself, like the Lord says, He'll give you that strength to do all things. And so, just praying and fasting and then finding this way that we could get water helped us to, go about our day proselyting and keeping our energy up to help do the Lord's work. I think eating fish eyes was the craziest that I had. Yeah, definitely by far. Is that our van, one of the vans got trapped in a canal, and because the rain was so heavy, and then another van was trapped in between two canals, and so we couldn't cross either canal for the road, so we had to stay the night in our van, calling our mission president. So that was the craziest experience I had. Going to the temple and seeing my grandma for the first time in many years. So that was amazing. When you give a thank you speech at the end of a meeting with a family or a dinner meal, I remember that you thank them for their food and then for the eating time. And I remember, I guess I actually said a bad word so I thanked them not for the food but something else. And I remember the family was looking at me like, what did he just do? And then my companion had to explain I was new, so that was embarrassing. I remember when I first got there, we had the aftershocks of the tsunami that had just happened out there. So we would get aftershocks in different typhoons, where you could see the eye of the storm, and the thunderstorms over there are insane. It's almost like someone's just constantly dumping a bucket of water on you. So definitely a severe weather change out there. So the big tsunami hit just I want to say 2 or 3 months before I got there. So most of the missionary work was service work and service projects and cleaning up materials and providing service to other people who had lost everything from that tsunami. Mua si le vinga ma le whawhatai le te mawhalangi ma le nea wanoa tu uina mai a te au. Ine ma whai ona whaswatu so mo le mau tu sai ma le ngalawenga whawhawhia o tā lai. Ai. O te loa le ngalawenga whawhawhia o tā lai o se ngalawenga whaingatā. Ai ma whai ona tātou whaalia lo tātou la lofa mawea e ale a tātou whiliwhilinga ma lo tātou usi tai ana polo wainga. O te mole mau atu e lofa tele le te mawhalangi a te tātou tai tuatasi. Te tauna tātou usi tai ana polo wainga ina ma whai ona tātou toi fo ima no whatasi ma le tua. Te loe e moni lava le tala le a Yesu Kiriso le se masaro salo. O le tusi a mamone o le awale ima whai ona tātou toi fo ima no whatasi ma le tua. E moni lava le tusi pa ia. Te tauna tātou whai tau le tusi a mamona asuma lava. Pia whai tātou tai. Whai tau le tusi a mamone ma whai ona tātou I loa nisi a wale te tauna muli ai. Te loa o soifua Yesu Kiriso. Te loa sa maliu Yesu Kiriso mo I tātou ina ma whai ona tātou toifoi. Te whawhatai mo le tongi ola Yesu Kiriso. Te lofa te le Yesu Kiriso a tātou tai tuatasi. E moni lava le tala le, ai mai si fo le ngalawenga whaiwhai o tā lai. O te whawhatai mo le misiona, ai mai si le tangata a Samoa. Le tangata a Samoa se awhianga ina ma whai ona tātou I loa nisi a wala e ma whai ona tātou muli ai mai si fo I au isi ka tangata I le nea planeta. Ai o te loa moni lava le tala le Yesu Kiriso ai whawhatai tele lava mo nea manoa o te whai ne mea I le swafalo alu Yesu Kiriso. Amen.